doing about love, he didn't mean for us to love Rome. Not them. Only a lunatic would command us to love Rome. We can't love Rome. But don't you see, that was exactly what Jesus was saying. Love even Rome. Because Rome with her mighty army has seen the power of the sword. But Rome has never seen the power of love. My brothers and sisters, your enemy has seen what cuss words can do. They already are geared up for a fight. Matter of fact, they want you to fight. They're standing there right now saying, if you feeling froggy, go on and leap. They're waiting for a fight. They've seen the power of a fight, but we need to show them the power of love. Well, what is it like when you talk about me like a dog with 5 legs and 3 tails and I pronounce a blessing over your life? You can't handle that. Come on, somebody. What is it like when you lie on me and persecute me and I love you down anyway and I treat you right anyway? They can't handle the power of love. The nation of Israel had the opportunity to show Rome something new and something different. But because they didn't understand Jesus, because they completely misunderstood his mission, Jesus cries. He weeps over them because the opportunity would be taken away and they would never have the opportunity again. These were God's people, God's chosen people. He loved them and led them across the wilderness into the promised land. But they didn't understand the Messiah when he walked in their midst. And because of that, Jesus cried. And saints, may I tell you today that some of us ought to be shedding some tears. Because as much as we preach and we teach and we try to spread the message of Christ, those who are sitting among us, some of our young people still don't get it. I wish I had a witness in here. What was it that Jeremiah said? Oh, that my head were waters and my eyes a fountain of tears. I would cry both day and night for the daughters of the slain of my people. I would cry because they just don't understand the message of the Lord. What a contrast as he sits upon the beast of burden. He sees a towering temple of God silhouetted against the sky. But beyond that, in the near future, in the years immediately ahead, he sees the enemy armies surrounding the holy city. Watch in the text there in the 41st through the 44th verse. He prophesies. He sees enemy armies surrounding the city. He sees the temple stones being taken down. He said there will not be one stone left unturned. He sees the entire city leveled. He sees bodies in the streets and blood running in the gutters and hundreds of thousands of people crying because they're starving to death while the enemy waits for them to surrender. All because they did not recognize the Messiah when he came. So he cries. How different their life would have been, how different the history of Israel could have been if they had only recognized the one who came in their midst riding on the colt. It's Matthew who adds that as Jesus looked at the city, he said, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often would I have gathered you together as a hen gathers her chicks beneath her wings, but you would not come." And brothers and sisters, may I suggest to you today, before I close, that today, just like the city of Jerusalem, we find ourselves in the presence of Jesus. And I wonder what he finds when he looks into our faces. Does he see people concerned about so many other things? Worried about their income taxes, worried about their job security, worried about their health or the lack of it? Does he see people who are busy doing things here and there, so busy that they never bother to consider those things that are eternally important? What does he see when he peels back the veil and looks into the hearts of the members of the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ? Does he see folk concerned with ministry or focus on their man? Oh, I wish I had a witness in here. Does he see folk concerned about the poor or worried about their pocketbooks? Does he see people concerned about those that we are called to minister to, or about what is it that makes me feel good in my life? Does he see people who recognize him for who he is, the Messiah, the Christ, the Son of God? Or does he see folk who really don't believe in the power of the cross? My brothers and sisters, what does Jesus see when he looks at us? When he turns and looks into our lives, I wonder, will he weep once again because of what he sees? What is it that makes the Lord cry? May I suggest to you as I close that when Jesus looked in at Jerusalem on that fateful day, he saw a city that's somewhat like our city. He saw a city that abused its poor. They were exploited by unfair weights and measures. In a city of plenty, they were left to beg for the crumbs from the table. In a city with growing housing development, they were abandoned to live on the streets and the alleyways. Jesus saw a city that neglected its children. Children at the point of their greatest need were neglected and miseducated. Their potential was stifled by practices and policies that placed more value on things than on people. Jesus saw a city that abused its women. They were used for pleasure and exploitation by men as temple prostitutes. They were relegated to thankless and meaningless jobs. Not only were they physically abused, they were mentally abused. Jesus saw a city where the resources that God had provided equally to everyone were hoarded by the few to the detriment of the many. Don't we see that in our world today? Where 10% of the people hold 80% of the wealth, but the 90% of the people are left to struggle over the 20% of the crumbs that are left. He saw a city where many in authority abused their power. He saw a city with corrupt politicians, corrupt preachers, corrupt teachers, corrupt police officers. And just like Jerusalem, we live in a city that makes the Lord cry. For even now, right here in Springfield, Massachusetts, Jesus sees the people. People who call his name but are not loyal to him. People who have a form of godliness but deny the power thereof. Can you prove that, Pastor Swan? Yes, I can. If we had the power, our children wouldn't be flunking in school. If we had the power, come on somebody, they wouldn't be shooting each other like dogs on the street. If we had the power, the drug epidemic would not be like it is right now. We've got more musicals than we know what to do with. We got more revivals than we know what to do with. We got more conferences than we know what to do with. Come on, y'all. Man power, woman power, thou art loose conference, Monday conference, January conference, this conference, that conference, but yet and still our children are yet dying. Our children are still sitting up in church and won't even lift up their hands, won't even surrender unto the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. What is it that he sees when he looks into our city? He sees people going through the motions of religion, but lacking the power of God. People who sing the songs of Zion, but lack a commitment of spirit. May I take a slight detour right here? Choir, you may sound wonderful on Sunday morning, but the words that you sing ought to mean something in your life. Oh God, when you say all praises be to the King of Kings and the Lord our God, he really ought to be the King in your life. There was somebody who came running to Jesus and they said, Lord, Lord, and he said, wait, why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things I say? Lord means having power or authority. That means when the Lord say jump, we say how high. When the Lord say run, we say how fast. Do the words that we sing really mean change something in our life. When he looks into our city, he sees people who are mere performers, but not participants. People who talk